Okay, this is a book review. The name of the book is The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. It's a great book. It's the best of the Christian apologetics books, meaning in defense of Christianity and support of Christianity. It's the best book for anybody who wants to start to learn about Christianity. The author's name is Lee Strobel. He was a journalist for the Chicago Tribune newspaper, and his wife had become a Christian, and he was initially at that time sort of atheist to agnostic, and he was very upset about his wife becoming a Christian. So he decided to study Christianity in an effort to prove to her that it was not true. But the more that he studied Christianity, the more he became converted to Christianity. He even then became a pastor. So I think this is a magnificent book. The paperback is, I enjoyed reading the paperback version of it, but there's also an audio CD version. I got the audio CD version. There's a DVD movie made about it. I got that too. They're all great. It's just magnificent. He made it accurate, interesting, concise, everything you could want in a book, and entertaining as well. Powerful support for the life of Jesus Christu and for the resurrection. He goes, all the criticisms of it that you'll hear from different sources, like the so-called, Jesus seminar and all that stuff, he refutes all of it, and quite well. One of the things that people encounter when they start to actually study Christianity is that the support for it is incredibly strong. The more you study it, the more you will believe in it. And the more you look at science, the more you will believe in it. If you have an open mind to the question of the fine-tuning arguments, the more you look at astronomy, the more you will believe in God. And not only will you believe in God, you'll believe in a theist God, because that's what makes the most sense. So that's sort of what's interesting is about it, is that the more you know, the more it seems true. The idea of, man created in the image of God, created by a theist God, because you can't explain it otherwise. It's way beyond us. Okay, some other things interesting about the Bible, that it had apostolic authority in the sense that it had eyewitnesses who were apostles. That's apostolic authority. It also had indirect eyewitnesses who were friends of the apostles. Luke was a physician of Paul. Mark was friends with Peter, for example, and those are the synoptic gospels, like there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. John is not one of the synoptic gospels. John is a more religious type gospel. Okay, and then all that stuff about Bart Ehrman, and the different levels of Christology, he's bogus. He says stuff that is just completely untrue. Christ had declared himself in all the Gospels, okay? It was not like it was just in John or something, okay? Ancient historians have written about it, most famously, Josephus and Tacitus. Some of the other things that are impressive when you think about what happened with Jesus Christu back in the old days was that 10 out of the 12 apostles were martyred for Christ. People don't allow themselves to be martyred for a lie. So they believed that he was God and that the right thing for them to do was to accept martyrdom. Okay, so that's a pretty big statement. Okay, there was one of these guys, from Watergate who said, I know the Bible's true because in Watergate, nobody would, want to be martyred for Watergate because they knew, whatever. They didn't, there was nothing substantial there. Okay, as far as the Bible, there's more copies of the Bible than any book from the ancient world. The Iliad and the Odyssey is a distant second. St. Peter was crucified upside down. He didn't feel worthy to be crucified upright like Christ. St. Andrew was crucified on an X-shaped cross, the St. Andrew's cross, because he felt unworthy to be crucified on a Latin cross like Christ. St. Paul was beheaded. And all these guys, James, the cousin, some people say the brother of Jesus, really the cousin or the stepbrother, who was converted by the resurrection, and he was then stoned to death, 62 A.D. John, meaning the brother of Zebedee, he was exiled to Patmos, and he wrote the book of Revelation. The other James, who was the brother of John, son of Zebedee, was martyred by Herod, King Herod. Philip, was going around converting the Romans, pissed them off. He was martyred. Bartholomew, martyred by crucifixion in India. So even the earliest apostles were already widespread, far away, doing missionary work. He's in India, okay? Thomas was also martyred in India, doing missionary work. Matthew was martyred in Ethiopia, doing missionary work. So they really got traveling early and fast all over the world. James, the son of Alphaeus, martyred in Jerusalem. Thaddeus was martyred for Christ. Simon was martyred in Spain, and he was sawed in half, pretty brutal. Matthias martyred in Georgia by stoning. So, like I said, it's amazing that they were all over the world quite early. Another thing that's interesting is in the world right now, Christianity is the most common religion. There's over 2 billion Christians, more than any other religion in the world. In AD 115, the Roman historian Tacitus wrote about Nero persecuting the Christians in 64 AD, to blame the fire on him that Nero had started. Tacitus noted he was amazing how the Christians were willing to die for their faith. That's a ubiquitous thing. My favorite novel about early Christianity would be Quo Vadis. It's magnificent. It's one of the greatest books ever written. Ayn Rand said it was the greatest book ever written, Quo Vadis. Okay, Josephus, contemporary Jewish historian, he also wrote about Christ. Gospel of Thomas is bogus, though. It's pantheistic, strange. Let's see, Old Testament had 48 prophecies predicting Christ that he fulfilled. Isaiah prophecy is a rather precise description of Jesus Christu. Excruciating pain comes from out of the cross, crucifixion pain. There's a jubilee every 7 years when slaves are to be freed and set free. Paul could not say outright at his time, get rid of slavery, because he'd be executed for that. So anyways, it's a magnificent book, the best Christian apologetics books ever made, and it's well worth reading. If you haven't seen it, check it out, and if you have people who want to learn, there's the book. It's great.